Hello, and welcome to Archives and Records Simplified. These videos are aimed at people looking for basic knowledge about archives and records management, although at times I will also touch slightly on information and library science. These videos are designed to provide bite-sized chunks, which means that almost every video will be less than 15 minutes. These videos are honestly for everyone, and comments and suggestions are always more than welcome. About me, Sean McMillan, I'm an archivist based in London, and you can learn more about me via my LinkedIn profile, to which there is a link posted below. And I'll also post a transcript and notes also if you struggle at any point to understand my accent. And lastly, if you enjoy these videos, I would be extremely grateful if you could kindly like, subscribe and share. Thanks again. Okay, so this video is about the Working Class Movement Library in Salford. The Working Class Movement Library is a dedicated library and archive for working class people and their history. The library began in the 1950s as the personal collection of Edmund and Ruth Frau. The founders were proud that their love of books created a unique and valuable resource for people wanting to know more about everyday people's lives and political beliefs. In the 1980s, their house was overflowing, and so Salford Council agreed to house the magnificent collection in a Victorian building called Jubilee House on the Crescent in Salford. The collection has been there ever since. Quite an interesting fact is that they used to be based in a former nurse's home, which I think is quite fitting for a collection for an archive of this type. The collection captures many fascinating points of view to tell a more complete story of Britain's working classes from the beginning of industrialisation to the present day. So that's quite a broad period of time. And what I would say is I'll go into more detail about what they do in the collections they have. But if you need any more information, I would thoroughly recommend you look at their website in the first instance. Moreover, I should also add that the staff at the library were really lovely. I always get in contact, or I try to at least make an effort to contact the organisations before I do a review on them, and the staff very kindly gave me some images to look at. So I think the image on the left looks like one of their display cases and shows some of their facilities, and the one on the right I think is a sign which tells you a bit about them. And as you can see, it's free entry. I always think that's worth emphasising, that these organisations by and large try to make sure that the services they offer are as free and accessible as possible. Okay. So the Working Class Movement Library records over 200 years of organising and campaigning by ordinary women and men. Their collection provides a really valuable insight into working people's daily lives, and as well as more basic stuff such as their thoughts, hopes, fears, and the roles they played in the significant events of their time. Their oldest items date from the 1760s, and they also have records as early as the 1820s relating to trade union documents. So they probably have some of the earliest materials relating to trade union activity in Britain. They also have a broad variety of material and types. This includes books, pamphlets, photographs, plays, poetry, songs, banners, posters, badges, cartoons, journals, biographies, and reports. And they also have information on a variety of different topics, including the trades and lives of people who worked from the past, trade unions. They have a material relating to political campaigns, to Chartism, the general strikes, and also more recent protests. And they also have a lot of materials relating to creativity and culture. So this is things like drama, literature, music, art, and leisure. And they also have collections relating to important people that have led activist lives, as I'll cover a little bit more detail in a few minutes. And they have materials relating to international events such as the Spanish Civil War, and also aspects of Irish history. It's worth also noting that one of the things I really like about these sort of collections is that sometimes you would be folly to put some of these archives into one box. So for example, you might come across an archive called the Black Cultural Archives or the Glasgow Women's Library in Glasgow, and sometimes you can think that they only relate to one thing, but you tend to find that these sort of archives often intersect with many other topics, and from looking at their collections you can see that too. So although it's predominantly a working class focus, I think it would be a bit narrow to assume that that's all their collections relate to. Another thing I really like about their archive is their website, is that their website's really interactive, and you can find additional information about each of these collection types via navigable hyperlinks on our website. It's also worth saying that not all items held in the library have been catalogued yet, but they do have lists of uncatalogued items, and I would say that's very common. The vast majority of archives that I've seen will have at least a few boxes of items that have not been catalogued, and if you're ever looking for something and you can't find it in the catalogue, I would always recommend you try send an email, because you honestly never know what will be discovered. Okay, so this is one of my favourite parts of the video where I give a case study of one of their collections, and the collection I've chosen is the Archives of Angela Tuckett. So Angela Tuckett, born in 1906, died in 1994, was the first female solicitor in Bristol. She was also a women's rights playwright. She was an active communist, an athlete and aviator. Together with her sister, she wrote plays on women's rights such as The Bills See Red, Passing Unnoticed, Smash and Grab, Aiding and Abetting, and Charity Begins. In the 1930s, she was active with the League of Progressive Writers. In 1940, she directed the legal department of the National Council of Civil Liberties. And in 1942, she joined the staff of the Daily Worker. From 1948 to 1978, she worked in the Labour Monthly, so a very long and active career. The collection itself is about 22 boxes, and it covers a date range from 1892 to 1986. That's something I've noticed in several archives and ones I've worked on myself, that you can always end up with items, especially if you're working on a personal collection, you can often end up with items that either predate or postdate the lifespan of the person you're working on. It always seems to happen. The collection includes papers relating to Angela's books on the Scottish Trade Union Council, Scottish Carters and Blacksmiths history. It includes papers relating to Angela's work with the Swindon Communist Party, the Bristol Communist Party and the London Communist Party, and it includes papers relating to activities in which Angela participated, including the international hockey visits abroad, the Great Peace Mark, and it also has things relating to song, verse and music. One box in the collection that really caught my eye were Angela Tuckett's International Solidarity materials, which are the fourth file in the third series of the catalogue. And this box includes a Basque children's concert tour, which is catalogued to item level and digitised. So that item, if you look up the reference code, it will have an additional number onto the sort of 3-4. And in fact, it's actually one thing that I've really noticed about this archive is that they have been really good at digitising parts of their collection. And when I got in contact with them about the video, they were very kind enough to send over some images. So, there's definitely, this seems to be an archive that are really active and are certainly keen on looking at ways they can promote themselves and make their collections known. Okay, and also on that note, they also sent over an image of Angela Tuckett, which I thought added something nice to the video. So this is Angela Tuckett here, a sketch of her, which was sent very kindly to the staff at WCML. Okay, so the WCML are also very good at outreach and promoting activities. They have a fantastic calendar of events advertised on their website. One of the events that caught my eye was an online talk titled Tom Paine's Bonds, a fantastical visual biography. It looks really interesting. The description for that was quite interesting to read. And I should say that all of their live stream events are recorded and can be viewed after the event on their website. So although COVID has had some really bad, although COVID has been really bad for events and activities, if there's one sort of silver lining, is that many of the things that are being organised online are being captured in ways they might have not been done before. So that's maybe one good thing. They also have a blog which is regularly updated. I saw a really number of interesting posts about Irish people and their role in the working class movement. And again, that's maybe an example of how a collection or an archive can be a lot more intersectional than you might otherwise have thought. They also have a number of projects. They're super active. One of their projects, Begin the World Over Again, is an exciting partnership between the Working Class Movement Library and the Walk the Plank organisation, which aims to use the radical thoughts and actions of the past as documented in the library's fantastic collections to promote new thinking and share it through a series of podcast episodes. And this is in part thanks to Arts Council England Emergency Response Fund. They have undertaken a project which aims to deliver dynamic digital aspects to the sharing of the library's amazing collections, exploring possibilities in more depth via creative engagement projects supported by artists. So that's one project that really caught my eye. If that's not clear, I thoroughly recommend you look at their website for more information. Another project was Unlocking Ideas Worth Fighting For. So this is in collaboration with Manchester's People History Museum and the Labour History Archive. The library was awarded a grant from the Esme Fairbairn Foundation in 2012 to research, find and unlock the hidden collections of both institutions and make links between them. The project increased public access to the collections through a blog, Twitter feed, talks and educational activities. The project has now come to an end, but it did a fantastic job of finding and unlocking the hidden collections of both institutions and also making links between them. And that's quite interesting as well. I think as an archivist, it's very important that you don't see your work as existing within a vacuum. Often I've wondered the collections I work on, how they might look if you place them within a broader context. So that was a really interesting project, and I think there was a lot of value in that. Radical Sounds. Okay, so on Bank Holiday Monday last year, so this was the 31st of August 2020, the library was excited to host their very first virtual Radical Sounds event. Many folk joined them from the comfort of their living rooms for a fantastic mix of music and readings curated by their very own Maxine Peake. This unique celebration of talent and working class culture had something to appeal to a lot of people, and you can still view it on their website. And lastly, their newsletters and annual reports are available on their website, and their annual reports date as far back to 2008 to 2009. So in some respects as well, and I've seen this sort of develop, their website is in many respects also almost like an archive on its own, which is quite interesting. Okay, so just some final details for future reference. The Working Class Movement Library is based in Salford, and as you can see, their contact details are here. They're also active in several social media platforms, which you can find a link to on their website. And lastly, I should also say that they also accept donations and have a shop. The shop's quite interesting. They sell a number of books and other materials worth looking at. Just one final point, I would re-emphasise, as I said earlier, these organisations, they work as hard as possible to ensure that their services are free. So if you are thinking of donating or looking at their shop, then please be assured that the money partly helps ensure that you can access their collections free of charge. Okay, otherwise I hope you've enjoyed the video, and please feel more than free to leave any comments or suggestions below. Thanks again. And if you enjoy these videos, I would be extremely grateful if you could like, subscribe and share. And also just to remind you that I would be absolutely delighted to take any requests for future videos also.